My people, I wanted to listen to this one. Breaking news, breaking news. Femi Falana is taking IBB to court for the book he wrote and also for infringing upon his right during those heydays of June 12th election. Listen to the conversation by the great Femi Falana. We told you that Nigeria is a shithole. Nigeria is gone. But we are glad that some people out there are doing the right thing. So listen to this interview and I'll come back. He's taking IBB to court. Listen.
Prison. So I think on the 19th of May, they deceived us in prison that we're going home. And we pack our things. The vehicle that was taking us to the airport purportedly made some maneuver, and we found ourselves at the Gwagwalada Chief Magistrate Court, where we were charged with treasonable felony. Of course, they brought the then announced president to join us. So 5 of us were charged with treasonable felony. Since we had no access to our lawyers, so the late Chief Femi and I decided to defend ourselves and my colleagues. So, even though we're asking for bail, we turn our arraignment to the trial of the junta. And I recall on that occasion, she told the judge, my chief magistrate, Balama, that those who should be standing trial for treason, those who should be in this dock, are in the villa, led by Babangida, because they had sacked, they had overthrown a democratically elected government on December 31st, 1983. So those are the people that should be standing trial. And of course, not just simple. When it came to my turn, I made it clear to the judge. This section of the law, Section 41 of the Criminal Code Act, which provides anybody who forms an intention to remove the president of his country during his term of office, otherwise than by constitutional means. I said, my lord, the man calling himself my president has no fixed term of office. So I couldn't have been brought here. Of course, the judge adjourned. 2 weeks later, he granted us bail, very liberal term, 20,000 around one shot in like some. The regime could not stand another proceeding. They couldn't go back to court. So that we don't turn the thing into a full trial of Babangida and others. So they simply ran away. And the case was struck out. So I'm going to challenge the malicious prosecution. My malicious prosecution and that of my colleagues.
Is it not time bound? Because, no. I mean, you want to prosecute General Babangida for whatever happened in his time as a military head.
Now, I've assembled a team of lawyers, they are looking into it because he has now brought it to life.
What exactly are you bringing?
He has brought it back to life by now admitting that there was no basis for my prosecution because he now says Abiola won the election, which was the basis of our protest. He's also saying, he shouldn't have, postpone the terminal date of his transition program, which again we're fighting. So which means there was no basis for our prosecution. It's malicious. Again, massive infringements of our right, human rights. Because when you keep me in Kuje prison, you deny me my right to liberty, my freedom of movement. You also violate my right to choose the government of my country, pursuant to Article 13 of the African Charter.
Is the matter not settled bad?
No, it's not settled bad. Because the man who did it has just come out to say, I did it wrongly.
Mr. Falana, there is something that you said you have...
And again, let me say this. It's not in our court. You can talk about something very settled bad. Yeah. In the ECOWAS court in Abuja here, in the case of Femi Falana and Republic of Benin and others, the court said any violation after 3 years cannot be pursued here. But later, the improvement of the jurisprudence of the court has now come to the conclusion. I think that was in the case of Federation of Journalists, Gambia, and the government of that country, that once you are talking of serious, gross abuse of human rights, statute of limitation does not apply.
Wow, look at that.
Let me take you on one very
IBB is going down.
Controversial matter that was also raised by the former head of state in his book, and it has to do with the late Dele Giwa. And let me quote part of what he said. He said, and I quote, "My sense of loss was, however, overwhelmed by the public outcry and the feeling of tragedy in the introduction of an entirely novel mode of killing in our country, coming a few weeks after the OIC crisis, which led to the retirement of my number 2 Commodore, Ebuka Obi. I saw Giwa's wicked and cruel murder as part of a series of booby traps and acts of destabilization being hatched against the administration." End of quote. That's the account of General Babangida. And he said, hopefully, that one day, he said, Giwa was loved by his audience and the rest of the public. Targeting him would shock the public and paint the administration in a feeble light. He's saying that one day, the death and the truth about Dele Giwa's death will be uncovered.
When he frustrated the attempt by the state to uncover the cause of that incident.
General Babangida in the book, Mr. Falana says that a lot of people know his closeness with Dele Giwa, and they wanted to use that to paint him black, his administration black.
His relationship with General Vatsa, right?
Listen.
Was much, much closer than that of Dele Giwa.
Yes.
Vatsa was his best man. They grew up together.
Classmates.
They were sleeping in the same room as bachelors. Right? He had him killed without any basis. But coming to Dele Giwa first. On October 19, 1986, when that unfortunate incident happened,
listen.
One of the early callers in Dele Giwa's house at Okpebi in Lagos was the late Mr. Tony Momo, the information minister of the junta.
Tony Momo, I believe his brother is also John Momo, the owner of Channels TV or so. Do your research. Let's go.
Just like I said, because of the novel manner of this death, we have never seen it before.
The popular letter bomb.
Yes. We're going to have a public inquiry. 2 days later, the junta reneged on the decision that the public inquiry will be conducted. As if that was not enough, the late Chief Femi, a personal friend and lawyer to Dele Giwa, took up the matter.
Listen.
Wrote to the government, if you are not willing to prosecute, I'm going to prosecute. Right? The government ignored him. Gani went to court. The High Court said you have no local standard. What is personal to you? What interest do you have that is greater than members of the public in this unfortunate incident? You went to the Court of Appeal, the same ruling. But the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court, royal like a lion.
Listen.
And in a very unique jurisprudential exposition, the Supreme Court held. I think the leading judgment was delivered by Justice Obaseki, who said, in Nigeria, you cannot challenge a concerned citizen for questioning the death of another person.
Okay.
late Justice Esho put it in a more admirable manner when he said, the English concept of brother, neighborliness, requires blood brother. Has nothing to do with us in Africa, where you have the extended family system, and that in matters of this nature, we are all our brothers' keepers. And therefore, Ghana, as a local standard, you know what happened? Ghana then went to start the battle from the trial court all over again. Oh, not to him.
Listen.
The junta had secretly amended the law.
Listen.
Criminal Procedure Code of Lagos State to limit private prosecution of criminal cases to perjury. So by the time Ghani now started, the lawyer of the suspect of the government raised an objection that, my lord, you no longer have jurisdiction. The right to prosecute anybody for murder has been shifted. This matter was raised at Oputa. Ghani gave his evidence. I was going to make reference to Justice Oputa and my evidence of Falana. I like us to wrap up in this manner.
What a country.
I imagine that perhaps the reason, the intention of General Babangida was to lay a lot of questions, answer them, and lay things to rest, and offer a public apology. Unfortunately, the book has raised more questions. And you think it has opened up more Pandora box? Now, the question here is that, is it possible that we move away from this issue? Take the one of Mama Vatsa. Right? It was a case of premeditated murder. Whereas Vatsa and other officers were arrested in December 1985. On suspicion that they were planning a coup. At that time, the law did not allow the military. And so what happened? A month after the arrest, while they were in detention, General Babangida promulgated a decree.
Wow.
On January 6, 1986, to try people who were arrested a month earlier. Falana. A lot of these things that happened in the military junta. And when we imagine that this the military regime is with force and sometimes without no depth of thought, of civility, and democratic thought. And the Supreme Court said in the case of Garba and Federal Civil Service Commission, the military, in coming to power, again, this is the language of justice session, is always faced with whether to allow the rule of law to operate or rule of force. But once the rule of law is taken, it's chosen, you must do everything in accordance with the law. So they had their choice. They pretended they were civilized. And so they rule by decrees. And so once you depart from the enabling decree, the court will strike down. On a final note, I thought Justice Oputa's panel would have also helped to heal. And you
hold it there, my dear. This is the problem. Nothing good can come out of Nigeria. Nigeria has been a lie from day one. Nigeria has been a lie from day one. The only coup in Nigeria that was branded against a tribe is the so-called Igbo coup of 1966. But when the other military men went into coup, nobody branded it a Fulani coup, a Hausa coup, a Middle Belton coup. No. Even a Yoruba coup, nobody said that. But when it has to do with we, the Biafran people, they tagged it an Igbo coup. Look at what IBB did. It's even worse than the sins of the one they call Kaduna Nziogo. I am glad, though, that in his book he mentioned that Kaduna Nziogo is more of a Hausa. Because when I made that revelation some months ago, people didn't believe me. I said it. Kaduna Nziogo was born in Kaduna. His parents, they were based in Kaduna. He was born in Kaduna. He schooled in Kaduna. He went to high school in Kaduna. He was into sports activities in Kaduna. He joined the military in Kaduna. He was married in Kaduna. In the military sport activities, he was number one in Kaduna. They loved him so much that they called him their own Kaduna Nziogo, a name given to him by his colleagues in the military. He was very fluent in the Hausa language. It means his way of life, his thoughts, his psychology was northern. Hence, what they did, they carried it out more in the north. But no, when it comes to we the Biafrans, they had to spin the narrative and they blame it on the whole region. I'm glad though that in his book he did mention that Kaduna was more of an Hausa person. At least he mentioned that. But to call a spade, the rest of the coups that happened, it was never branded with the ethnicity of that military man. IBB killed MK Abiola. Whether you guys like it or not, he was the reason MK is not here today by annulling the June 12th. But the Yorubas are not angry with the Hausas or the Fulanis for what happened. That a prominent man like MK Abiola, a great man, a philanthropist, was taken away like that. Think about that. Let that sink into your mind. A great man like MKO was taken out of this world. And people are still doing politics. So I am glad that Chief Femi Falana is finally doing the right thing. The book written by IBB was like a Pandora box. It has opened everything up. A criminal that should be rotting in jail was there being respected by his peers, by a bunch of criminals, and they raised him 17 billion naira overnight. 17 billion will solve the problem of Almajiri in the north. A problem that's been there for so many a year. But no, they rather raise it for a criminal, a murderer. So I'm glad our brother Femi Falana is doing the right thing. But for we the Biafrans, we've had enough. And we are done with Nigeria. Thank you all, and I rest my case. We are done. The Biafrans, we are gone. No more Nigeria in Biafra land. You are a corrupt system, you are a criminal enterprise, and we are saying never again. God bless you.
Yeah, check me out. Superstars Media. Lord Logan, blame it on Lord Logan, and it's why Flora show 1914 amalgamation is what we dying for. 3 nations to 1 nation, ever since annihilation. Nepotism is nonsense. You and you, clap your hands. Biafra gonna come, clap your hands. Biafra, Oduduwa, we're free now. Freedom is gonna come, we're free now. Yeah.